Yes, sir.
So, welcome to today's sessions, everyone. So, today we'll be focusing on the housing part, your info type 581. Okay, so last session we have seen a little bit about it, like INHRA, the function we have seen in the system, and I think it was little confusing for both of you as you are learning for the first time. But today we will go focus on two angles. So, if you see this mind map, so for regarding to housing details, we will be having, first of all, we will be studying like from a housing rules perspective. And second one, I'll be talking about SAP perspective so that you will be understanding both the business scenarios, everything in the housing rules part, and from how that is configured in the SAP point of view. In the second half, I will be talking about it. If time permits, in first half, I will start. Is that clear? What we are going to learn today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Clear,
let's
sir.
then get started with the housing rules. When I say housing rules, so we have here four things. One is the housing types. Second is HRA, which is nothing but your house rent allowance. Third one is house rent recovery. Okay. And fourth one is housing perquisite. Okay. So out of these four things, second and third is a little bit easy to understand. HRA you must be knowing, like as I have explained in the last session as well. It is a
Yes, sir.
part of your salary. Like you will be getting certain amount, whether it is a 40% or 50% of your basic salary, depending upon
Yes, sir.
whether you are staying in a metro or a non-metro. That is very clear, right? So that is your HRA.
Yes, clear.
Okay, so that
Yes,
is
sir.
HRA. Similarly, there is something called house rent recovery. Okay, so recovery, what do you understand? Any guess?
Recovery means the employee is recovering, or
Yes. Say it is recovered
Rent
from the
recovery.
employee. Everything from the employee perspective, I am saying actually. The suppose the organization is mostly this will be finding in case of a CLA and COA, like your company lease. If the suppose company is paying certain amount on behalf of the employee, then that amount the company may recover depending upon your
Employee.
organization policies and all. So that is not applicable for everyone. In special cases, mostly in case of expats, on those cases, wherever the company leased and company owned accommodations are there, in those scenarios, in some specific scenarios, if the company is paying on behalf of you, they will recover some small amount from you, okay, or that depending upon your policies of the organizations and all. Did you understand that? What is the house rent
yes, sir.
recovery? Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Rent recovery means can you please little bit explain,
Yes, I will
elaborate?
come to that. I will elaborate
Okay, okay,
more. Suppose, let's say
okay.
you are, I'll be giving a simple example. Suppose you
Okay,
just,
yes, sir.
one person has passed out of an engineering and he joined an organization's public sector. Let's say, I'll be giving a public sector example. And
Okay,
for
sir.
all the interns, all the intern or the initial 2 months of a training period, company is providing them a like a paying guest kind of setup. Okay, so they are not going to pay directly any big amount. Company is paying on behalf of those employees, but a nominal amount. Suppose say let's say per month from 3,000, 4,000, they are deducting from each and every intern or the trainee. Okay, so because initially the salary, suppose if it is a little bit lower, okay, so during the training period or probation period, they are deducting that amount from the employee's salary. Okay, so that is a
Yes,
perfect example of house rent recovery. I'm just
okay.
giving a hypothetical example which actually you
Yes,
can.
yes. Now I understand. Now I understood
You
everything.
understood the business scenario, right? Because this case happens.
Yes,
It's also seen in some of the public sectors. In the initial days, suppose they will be undergoing a training, like say 6 months to 1 year during their probation period. Generally, they will not be giving HRA allowance in that period. Only the
yes,
stipend they will be
In
getting.
training period. In training
Exactly,
period.
exactly. Suppose they will be getting a stipend of 20,000
Employer, sir. Employer recovered from employee.
from the from the
Employee.
employee from the employee. Okay, so in those
Okay.
very special cases that doesn't happen on very frequently. Okay, but there is a scenario that in that case you can recover that amount from the employee. You got my point, Lakshmi, Srikant?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
That is a simple example. And other than that, we have something called housing perquisite. So perquisite is actually we call it a perk as well. Okay, in short, we call it a PERK. Okay, so what is a PERK? Again, that we'll be discussing more detail. Okay, but in case of housing perquisite, where exactly it is done? So mostly in case of company leased accommodation or company owned accommodation. Okay, so in
Bond
those
accommodation.
cases,
Yes, sir.
in those scenario, your employee will be attracting a particular perquisite, and how the perquisite calculation happen, that I will discussing in the SAP science side. Okay, at present, I'm just saying actually you will be having a perquisite for your company leased accommodation or company owned accommodation, and also if your organization is if you're the employee is like having some helper. Here I've not given the example of furniture as well. So in those cases also it will attract a particular amount which is known as a perquisite. Okay, so that value, so that we'll be discussing more into detail whenever I'll be going in SAP perspective. Okay, and the example, the PORC value of helper at present, so it will be like 120 rupees per month depending upon the salary of that employee. It is actually fixed, like how much you can be getting and all those. So those details are in the income tax detail site of India website. You will be getting all those details value. Okay. Similarly, when I say salary, what is the definition of a salary? When I say whenever you are calculating perquisite, okay, so there is something called how salary is defined. Okay, so just remember, I'm just making a note here as well in the on the go. Whenever I'm saying a salary, that means it includes your pay, whatever you're getting paid, and whatever you're getting allowance. Okay, whatever
Allowances.
allowances, and also includes your bonus plus
Bonus.
suppose you're working as a sales, you'll be getting some kind of commissions. Okay, so there are possibility that if the employee is working in a sales then it will included in your salary. So what from perquisite, how whenever I'm saying a perquisite, this is a definition of a salary. Okay, so it will include pay, whatever pay, allowance, bonus, and commission. And what doesn't it include? That is also important to understand. So what is not included?
Yes, sir.
It is
DNS allowances.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Your dearness allowance, your
Tax.
employer's contribution, to PF, okay, Provident Fund. Okay,
Provident fund.
it is also not calculated in your part of a salary. And similarly, we do have some allowances which are exempted from taxes. Okay, so there can be some allowances which are exempted from taxes. Okay, so that is also not part of your definition of a salary. Similarly, there is some, as I have discussed, the park. Okay, so park under there is something section called section 17. Okay, so that we will be seeing detail whenever we will be talking about your SAP perspective. Section 17 and subsection is 2. Okay, so these are the part whenever suppose somebody is asking from a technical, not technically, rather from a business point of view or understanding point of view. So whenever I'm saying it, calculating perquisite, your pay, allowance, bonus, commissions are be considered as a part of your salary, and these are not considered. Okay, so this is very straightforward. Okay, and park value of helper, similarly will be having park value for furniture also you'll be having. Okay, furniture also will attract your perquisite. Okay, so it is a little tricky to understand, but it is not very difficult, I will say, whenever you'll be doing in the system. Okay, whenever we'll be doing the hands-on, will be easily understand. Okay, I will explain you all these things. Okay, so this is now conceptually we'll understand. Okay, is it clear whatever I have explained till now regarding to park?
Yes, it's very clear. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is regarding housing perquisite. Now we'll be coming to the main topic, which is very important for us, housing types. So in the last session, in the drop down of a 581, we have seen all those values, right? So these are the different
Rented accommodation.
Exactly. Some of the values which I'm not taken everything. The old one I have I've not taken. Most important one I have taken. Okay. So whenever I say employee owned accommodation, so there are different varieties of things. So whenever I'm saying employed own accommodation, what is the if you have remembered, what is the impact of HRA? Any guess?
impact.
Suppose a person is staying in his home. Okay, he is
In
not
his own
having a,
home. Yes, sir.
and he is getting as a HRA. His basic is 50,000, and his HRA is 25,000. So, what is the impact on that 25,000 from a tax point of view? Last time we have discussed. Any guess if you remember?
No, sir. Sorry.
Okay, then I'm answering that, no problem. So in that case, your HRA, whatever the person is getting that HRA, it is fully taxable. Okay, so this is the point which I would like to make it.
Okay.
Okay, so in
For owned
case,
accommodations, huh?
yes, employee owned accommodation means suppose Lakshmi, you are staying in Guntur and you are having your own home, you are not paying any rent. Okay, so then whatever HRA you are getting from the employer in Guntur, then that will be completely taxable. Okay, there is no exemptions. Okay, you got my point?
Okay. Okay, sir.
In
Yes,
those
sir.
cases, you can also test it. Like I will tell you, just you can try one employee, just maintain his own accommodation in 581, and automatically system will trigger to your info type 8. And whatever the HRA he's getting, suppose he's getting 25,000, the example which I've given, that will be completely taxable. Okay, if you okay. That we will be again. I'll be giving this assignment to both of you. Okay, so you'll be trying it. So this is clear.
Okay.
Employee owned accommodation. What is an employee owned accommodation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Now we will be going to the next one. Next one is employee rented accommodation. So what is the rented accommodations? Suppose you are staying. It can be like you are
Rented house.
this is rented as simple as rented house. Okay. So how this in those cases, what is the formula? Okay, so how this exemptions will be calculated. Okay, so that we'll be seeing in detail. But anyway, at this moment, I'm just saying how this thing is calculated. There is a formula.
Yep.
There are
Type
three
of
things.
house.
Yeah, you know it, Lakshmi.
Little bit. Sir.
Okay, are you saying anything? Just tell me.
Yes, sir. We are aware of that.
Okay, great. So minimum of 3 means, okay, if you are knowing it, then I'm not going that details. Okay, so the list of the 3 things. One is HRA, whatever HRA you are getting. Okay, the list of, okay, so list, L-E-A-S-T, list of these 3 things. Okay, one is whatever HRA you are getting, another rent minus 10% of your salary.
Rent minus 10%. Yes, sir. Rent minus 10%.
Yes. Rent minus.
Depend on company policies.
Yes. Rent minus 10% of salary. Okay. And third one is your whether you're staying in a metro or non-metro, 50% in case of a metro. And if you're staying in a non-metro, then it is your 40%. 40%. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the
whichever is less. Yes.
Exactly. Out of these 3 things, and which is the less, you will be your HRA exemption will be calculated accordingly. And these things, yeah. Any questions?
It's based population areas also, I think.
So population actually it is a metro based. Okay.
10 lakhs. Okay. Okay,
no. The 10 lakh which you are saying now, that is actually for company owned and company leased accommodation. Okay. So also that you will be finding there. Okay, the populations related to that, but SAP calculates based on this. Okay.
Okay.
50%. And whenever you will be checking the INHRA functions, then you will be able to see how these 3 things are there and which is the minimum. SAP will be showing in the processing part. Okay, in the after running the payroll, in the simulation log, if you see the payroll log, INHRA function inside the processing part, we'll be seeing that. Anyway, last time I have shown you. Okay, this is the out of these 3 things, it will calculate. Okay, and similarly for company leased accommodation, what it would be doing? In case of company leased accommodation, actually there are 2 things. One is a lease rent, okay, which is paid by the company, okay, and another is 15% of your salary. Okay, so lesser of 2 things. Okay, I'll just tell you. Lesser of 2 amount. One is a lease rent, say lease rent. Another one is your 15% of salary minus, I will also tell you how to check all this validate. There's a better way of checking this. Okay, I will tell you how to do that. 15% of a salary minus rent paid by the employee. Okay, so this is the formula how this is calculated. And other than this,
it is based upon employee's salary, sir.
actually how it is calculated, not based on the salary. Basically, I will be telling you how it is calculated. There is a tool, okay, in the from
Okay,
Income Tax Department of India. Okay, there is a text. After completing this, I will be showing that tool. Okay, it will be very clear from that.
okay, sir.
Okay. You can experiment with
Okay,
that
sir.
tool. Okay. So other than this,
Okay.
we have for company leased accommodation, there is also a your furnishing charges, okay, or any kind of that will be 10% of your contribution cost for furnishing, okay, cost of furnishing, that is also covered. Okay, so these details we will be seeing in the system. Rather, I will be guiding you. Okay, you will be seeing in the system, and I will be giving assignment as well. And the next one is
Okay,
COA, company owned accommodation. So in case of a company leased accommodation, what happens? Company actually takes gives rent to the owner of that particular house, whichever is taken as a lease. Okay, and so in that case, to the owner, your employee will not be paying directly the rent. Okay, so rather, company will be taking on a lease, suppose a 5 years, 10 years kind of a lease. Okay, they have some agreement kind of thing. Employee doesn't have to go involve much. Okay, so it mostly this kind of scenario you'll be finding in case of expat. Suppose somebody is coming to your coming to our country from other countries, and they will be staying because they do not have to interfere with all this rent. So company will generally pay for that, and they will be recovering from that. So in those cases also Perquisite will be calculated. Okay, this is a company leased. In case company is owning his set of the entire real estate, okay, of a particular area, then the calculation is a little bit different. Okay, and it depends upon the populations. Okay, it is population based. Okay, so it is based on population, and how it is fully calculated, I will be telling you in the system itself. Okay, this is population.
Below 10 lakhs, 7.5, 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs.
Exactly. So there is 7.5% for a population up to 10 lakh, and then 10% for between 10 to 25 lakhs, and beyond that, above 25 lakhs, it is 15%. Okay, and in this cases also, your furnishing cost will be similar, like 10% of the cost of furnishing period for actual hiring charges minus the amount paid by the employee. So this is a standard formula. Okay, so these are 4 things which you have seen. And any questions on this? Anyway, once we see in the system, you will be able to understand much better. Any questions?
We don't have any questions.
Okay. The next one is a government provided accommodation. Okay, so mostly this is applicable for public sectors. Okay, public sector in India anywhere. So in case government provides the accommodation, what will happen? There is something called license fee. Okay, so government will
I'm
be
not audible your voice.
Is it not audible?
Hello.
Is it? Shrikant,
Yes,
am I
sir,
audible?
I think your internet issue. You have something.
Just
Little
a
bit.
minute.
It's
Little bit disturbance.
Okay. Let me check it.
yeah, it's getting little bit disturbance.
Actually, let me check it. Actually, I connected to both Airtel and Wi-Fi. So system is checking that Wi-Fi, not checking that Wi-Fi. Let me check it again. Just a minute. Is it better now?
Yes, sir, it's better now.
Yeah, actually I connected to LAN now.
Yes, sir.
Connected to LAN now.
Okay.
So what I was saying, government mostly it is applicable for your public sectors. What will happen? It will be calculated the perquisite again, license fee minus rent paid by the employee for unfurnished accommodation. Okay, so this is the calculation will happen, but mostly you will not be coming across most of the things. If you are working for a government or public sector, in those cases, it's very special cases. And the furnishing charge is also very similar at 10% of the cost, whatever you are incurring in the entire year, or actual hire. If you have hiring, means if you have hired some furniture, okay, then minus the amount paid, whatever you have paid as an employee, that will be a government property applicable for perquisite calculations. But most of the cases you will be coming across this first, second, and third and fourth. Okay, like employee owned, employee rented, CLA, and COA. Okay, these are the four most common cases. And government property limit, very limited things you'll be seeing. And hotel accommodation, what is where it is applicable. So in case there will be no perquisite if you're staying up to 15 days. Most of the IT companies, even I including me, initial 7 days or 15 days, company provides some hotel accommodation if you are moving from one city to another city. Okay. In those cases, there will be no perquisite as per the policies. There will be, if you're staying up to 15 days in the hotel, there will be no perquisite. Okay. And if you're staying more than that, then there is a formula like lesser of 20%, 24% of your salary, or whatever actual charge you pay to the hotel minus amount paid by the employee. Okay, so this is the calculation will happen. But anyway, that you will be able to see in the SAP. We'll be checking that. And another one, last one is again, this is a very rare case. Two accommodation in two places. Okay, so in case if you're having two accommodation in two different places, suppose you're moving from one place to another place and you have not left the old places because you have some, suppose the children's exams is going on, your family is staying there. Okay, you have to continue. Okay, for say 60 to 90 days, something like that. After the examination of your children is over, then you are moving. You already moved to another city. Okay, in those cases, if you are paying two accommodation, this is the most common scenario.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Up to 90 days, it's free. After 90 days, it's a perquisite.
Perquisite. Okay, that is the kind. That is the scenario. Okay, so this is the scenario.
Okay, sir.
Now, with this understanding, okay, I will be going to show you something interesting, which is you must be already knowing about it. So, which is your income tax calculator from the government of India, incometaxindia.gov.in. If you go to this particular link, just pasting this link in the chart, there are almost 30 tools available. Okay, 30 calculators.
Okay.
For all these things are available. Okay, so like which today we have discussed. This is regarding the rent-free accommodation. This is the one. Okay, rent-free means it is actually if you go to this side. Okay, so I will not be explaining much detail. You will just experiment by putting different types of values. Okay, like employer type, whether it's a government or other than the government or a private. Similarly, accommodation is a hotel or other than hotel. Okay, so same thing, you just manipulate whatever the values you are having, you enter, try it. And similarly, the population part, which I was telling about, in case of a COA, it is also similar thing like accommodations owned by employer, and this is the population exceed 25 lakhs, 10 lakhs. Accordingly, you will be finding those values. Okay, for the simplicity, you can put it like 1 lakh. Okay, and you will be getting those values. Suppose I'm putting 1 lakh, and accordingly, suppose I have chosen your just to testing for a testing in the calculator before testing the SAP. Okay, so you can just do a test like this. Okay, 1 lakh, then as we have chosen 10 to 25 lakh, what was the formula? It was 10%, right? 10% of the salary. So in case we have chosen 1 lakh basic, it's a 10% is 10,000. Okay, so that is your thing. Okay, and similarly you can manipulate here, and accordingly you can test in SAP as well how SAP is calculating. Okay, so this is you can do a parallel testing whenever you are understanding going through this tool. Okay, and so that you'll be getting confident. Whatever it is maintained in here, it is always perfect. Okay, this is because it is from the government of India. Okay, and if you are finding some deviation in your SAP, then you have to find out your data. You have to correct if anything data issue or if something configuration issue. Okay, you will be finding. So first of all, I will recommend you to go for this rent-free accommodation, this tool, and say also HRA calculator. Okay, this is you already know it. That is like the minimum of those 3 figure. Okay, so this is the one.
Yes, sir.
how your HRA will be calculated, and you are staying in metro, what is the allowance and all. Okay, so this one you can, whenever you're testing in SAP, at the same time, you should have this calculator at your open. Okay, parallelly you can test the same thing. Okay, so I will recommend to go through these two things at this moment. Okay, there are many other tools as well, other calculators as well, which we will be seeing in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so this one you can try it. Okay, because I always test.
Okay, sir.
Whenever I have any confusion, I always refer this website, because this is authentic
Okay.
website,
Yes, sir.
Government of India.
Yes, sir.
There are many other
Okay.
sites
Okay,
as
sir.
well, like Clear Tax, many other sites will be finding, but those are also good.
Okay.
But I always prefer the government one, because this is a trusted and authentic one.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is the one, the first part, which now we have covered. Any questions here
Yes.
before we move on?
From my side, I don't have any questions. It's
Lakshmi,
clear.
what about you? Any questions?
I clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we will be moving to SAP perspective. Okay, from whenever I'm explaining SAP perspective, I will just you can Shrikant, you can maybe after 10 minutes, I will be asking you to show your system. Then we will be doing the hands-on there. Okay, so
Actually, I have issue today. My server is restored and trying to insert the data from 6:30, but I haven't reached the PA30. Sorry, sir.
okay,
So
no
today
problem.
I don't have server available.
No problem, no
Same
problem.
server, sir. Yesterday fully error silicon.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So what I will do then, okay, so I will be explaining from here, okay, and also I have a system, but the data may not be accurate. Okay, so some of the data is might be there. Anyway, I will be explaining whatever, then but I will be giving hands-on, then we will be going further. Okay. So now,
Okay.
with that understanding, we understood the business concept. Now, from a SAP perspective, I have highlighted two parts. I have divided into two parts. One is a user slash business POV. POV means point of view. From a user point of view or business point of view, what are the things? Second one is a consultant point of view. Consultant means people like us will be working in a backend system as well. Okay, so you should be knowing both front end and back end. Okay, so I have for that regarding that I have divided into two sections, two parts. The business part, which we have already seen the last time, like how to fill up an info type 581, okay, as a user or as a business HR, okay. So that you are already confident how to fill up all those data, right? How to fill up the info type 581. And suppose if you are an employee, you can also see those, if you are given ESS, employee self-service, you are given an access, same thing, you can also fill it up in your employee self-service portal. Okay, that is the thing. And there is also a report how HRA with this, if you would like to maintain this HRA amount for multiple employees, okay, in one go, there is a report or a transaction, which is PC00M4_M40_HRA. Okay, so this is a transaction. And this is from a business point of view. And from a consultant point of view, it is little lengthy. So you will be having a lot of things here. I will not be going to overwhelm everything now. So I have just made a note for you, like what are the things you'll be seeing, all these things. So do not get overwhelmed like this. I will just simplify the diagram and I will explain one by one. So from a functional consultant point of view, we have, I have divided the concept into different, 5 different nodes. One is, first of all, you have to understand the configurations. Okay, what are the related configurations for info type 581 HRA? And the configuration, I have made it a little simpler. I have not discussed SPRO node here. There are specific SPRO node as well. For your simplicity, to make it faster, you already might be knowing those nodes in the previous training, but I just make it simplified.
Yes,
like
SM30, yeah.
Yes, these are the different SM30 is the transaction code for to access these tables. Okay, so we have different tables. This is the 4 different tables we have for HR related housing types and housing related constants, city categories. Okay, so these are the configuration you have to revisit whenever you're talking about your HRA, okay, which you will be seeing in the second session. Okay, like after this, after 5 minutes. Similarly, when it comes to tax code, we have a 3 specific tax code for HRA, okay, which are nothing but SHRA, SCLA, SCOA. Okay, so we have SHRA, Any question, Lakshmi? Or
No, sir. No, sir.
so if you have any doubt, you can just stop me, because if I'm a little bit fast also or slow, just let me know.
Okay,
And
sir.
whenever I'm talking about, there are 3 tax code which is given by SAP. SHRA is for both your employee owned and employee rented accommodation. There is a, for those waste types, we have to connect with the tax code SHRA. For company leased accommodation, we have to have a tax code SCLA. And for company owned accommodation, we have SCOA. So there are the 3 tax codes which are maintained in the table, which I will be explaining you once we see the system. Okay. So these are the things, and the flow, how this flow works like, I will just explain now. Okay, so the flow, how it works is, so just let me little bit do a reverse engineering.
Okay.
So flow is like, last time we have seen, whenever you are entering something in the info type 581, there is a dynamic action. Okay, it triggers to info type 8. This is clear. Last time we have seen it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So after this, what happens? So waste types defaulted info type 8 as per the waste type model. Okay, the way we have designed
Yes, sir.
allowance grouping, everything, it will be defaulted info type 8. What will happen next? So in the housing type, whatever housing type you have chosen in the info type 581, okay, how it will choose it will pick the tax code. So the tax code which we have seen, these are 3 tax code which we have seen, right? So whatever housing type we have chosen in for the 581, it will pick accordingly the tax code. Whatever the tax code we have maintained, there is a table which you will be seeing, that is a T7 INR7. Okay, so this table INR7, depending upon your housing type, the tax code will be picked from that. After that, what will happen? Every tax code is assigned to a waste type, and those are maintained where this V underscore T7 INT9. Okay, so this is the 9 table. This is contains all of your waste types, and as per the tax code, it will pick that value. Okay, and after that, what will happen? That waste type will be picked up. Okay, so that waste type will be going to info type 8, and whenever you are getting you're processing your salary, that will process in your payroll. Suppose there can be a question here, like suppose somebody is asking, explain how info type, if you are maintaining the housing details and all in info type 581, how it gets processed dynamically and how the entire flow. Okay, so then you can explain this is the flow, how it goes from your info type 581 till your pay slip. Okay, so this is the end-to-end flow. Okay, so I think I just pulled it. Okay, so this is your end-to-end flow, how it looks like. Okay. So now, if after understanding this flow, now we will be seeing some. This is very simple. Model waste types means actually SAP has given all this model waste type related to HRA. Okay, HRA, CLA, COA. Okay, whenever you are configuring, you are implementing, you are working in an implementation project, these are the model waste types you have to copy from. Okay, so you are already aware of how to configure a waste type. So for that, I think yes, you're right.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
For that
Yes,
reason,
sir.
I'm not going into that details. So
Okay, sir.
these are the related waste types, model waste types, which you will be copying from whenever you are configuring HRA related waste types.
Yes, sir.
So this is very simple. Then something more deeper concept I've discussed here in the concept plus. So here, whatever I'm discussed, HRA housing exemptions. Okay. So this is actually technically INHRA function, okay, which we have seen last session. And there is a waste type called /44. Suppose somebody is asking, if your person is an employee is asking, my housing exemption, I didn't receive my housing exemptions. So suppose you're working as a support consultant, how you'll be checking? Directly in the payroll log, you go INHRA and search for this particular waste type /44. If it is not there, then you have to further investigate. Okay, but this is the first hand. How if you're checking from, I just made it very simpler. Okay, if you're working in a support project, then this is how you'll be searching. Similarly, whenever I'm talking about payment and deduction in specific to CLA and COA, if there is any issue in your company leased or company owned accommodations, you have to first see whenever this is something called /3R9. Okay, so this is a specific wage type which you have to search for, and there is a constant as well. There is a T5 table that is a CADTR constant. Okay, so that you have to also check. And basically, the company owned and company leased accommodation, these wage types are basically we are eligibility. Okay, these are neither paid or not recovered. And there is a /110 wage type, which is secondary wage type, and these are not accumulated into that. Whatever the company leased and company owned accommodation, whatever, these are not accumulated in the /110, and also these are not included in your pay slip. Okay, so that is the best practice. Whenever you are getting something benefits in your company leased, a company owned accommodation, this will be not shown in your pay slip. However, that Perquisite, whatever the Perquisite will be getting benefits, that will be reflected in your form 16. Okay, so that is how the idea. Okay, whenever I'm talking about CLA and COA, this is clear. Anyway, we'll be seeing it practically in the system. So anyway, okay, maybe otherwise if it will take more time, then we'll be seeing the next session. Okay, but this is the things: housing exemption and payment deductions and everything, and housing PAR calculation again. So this is little tricky, but will be once you are doing in the system, then only you'll be knowing it. And this formula which I have explained you already, like how this PAR COA will be calculated depending on the populations and everything. The same thing I have explained here. Okay, and CLA also how the PAR for company lease will be calculated. Okay, and similarly, how this difference, okay, whether if you are having any issue, how this difference will be calculated. These are three different secondary wage type which you will be finding in the payroll log. If there is any issues, then you have to identify whether these are generated in your payroll or not. Okay, so this is the point. And the calculator, the last part, calculator from the Income Tax Department of India, the URL, the hyperlink which I have shown to you. Okay, this is the one.